Hello learners, today we shall discuss unit number 10 of the MOOC on social and political philosophy. I am Dr. Jahnabi Devi, Assistant Professor, Discipline of Political Science, Krishna Kanta Hondigoi, State Open University, Assam. Title of this unit is Secularism, Its Nature and Secularism in India. This unit is included in module number 10. This unit will be covered in 3 videos. And this video will basically deal with the concept of secularism in general and its features. So learners, let's begin with the concept of secularism. What is secularism? What do you mean by secularism? In general, secularism is a movement towards separation of religion and government and its institutions. Secularism basically emphasizes that the state and the religious institutions should remain independent of each other. It ensures that religious belief must not dictate governmental policies or public affairs. This can refer to reducing the ties between government and the state religion, replacing laws based on scripture with civil laws, and eliminating discrimination on the basis of religion. Secularism is the core principle of democracy which protects the rights of religious minorities. Secularism also promotes the idea that all the citizens, regardless of their religious belief, should have equal rights and freedom under the law of the state. All are equal before the law. Secularism aims to prevent any single religion from gaining dominance over others in a society. It also ensures that religion doesn't become a tool for political control or societal division. Secular principle basically concentrates on realizing the aims of liberty, justice, freedom, and equality for the good of human civilization. It permits no privilege to any particular religion. Secularism primarily agrees with the equal share of all the people on the basis of labor, justice, and the legitimacy of live and let others live. In the midst of plurality of religions in a society, secularism always tries to maintain the balance in the society by promoting the ideas of equality and freedom. So, we can say that at its core, secularism always seeks to create a neutral public space where people of different faiths or of no faith can coexist harmoniously. This neutrality is very important for promoting freedom of thought and ensuring that policies and laws of the state are based on rational and universal principles rather than any kind of religious dogma. Secularism doesn't necessarily mean that the elimination of religion from the public life. Rather, it advocates for the freedom of individuals to practice their own religion privately and without interference from the state. In a secular society, people are always free to express their religious belief in personal and communal settings, but they do not have the right to impose their beliefs and religious practices on others through political, legal, or social means. Learners, now let's focus on the historical roots or historical background of the concept of secularism. While talking about the historical roots of secularism, we can say that in the ancient and medieval times, although religion was deeply integrated into the lives of ancient societies, thinkers like Socrates, Aristotle contributed to the idea of separating religious and political spaces. However, these ideas did not translate into a widespread practice of secularism in ancient times. Again, during the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church had significant political and social power. The Pope and the monarchs often held intertwined religious and political authority with very little room for secular governance. Again, during the period of Renaissance, from 14th to 17th centuries, this period basically witnessed a renewed interest in the humanism. And this period basically emphasizes human reasons and individualism, and this often challenged the church monarch. The Protestant Reformation in the 16th century, led by figures like Martin Luther, then John Calvin, sought to reform the Catholic Church, which gave rise to the concept of religious freedom. It also weakened the Church's influence in European politics. This period saw the development of early secular ideas in the works of philosophers and thinkers like Machiavelli, who separated politics from religion in his writing, particularly in The Prince. In fact, Nicholas Machiavelli was the first thinker who advocated for separation of religion and politics. Again, the Enlightenment that took place in the 17th and 18th century played a very critical role in the development of secularism. Thinkers like John Locke, Voltaire, Rousseau emphasized the importance of reasons, individual liberty, and separation of religion from the state. This period marked a shift away from religious authority, controlling governance, and a move towards rational thought, human rights, and democracy. John Locke's idea on religious tolerance and separation of church and state were influential in promoting secular governance. Locke argued that religious beliefs should be a matter of personal conscience, and the government should not intervene within this sphere. Again, the French Revolution of 1789 sought to end the Church's influence in the state affairs, marking a decisive break between the Church and the state in France, leading to secularism as an official policy. In the 19th century, secularism became more institutionalized in many Western societies. Government increasingly adopted secular laws, education system, and policies. The rise of science and rationalism during this time questioned religious explanation of the natural world, further promoted secular ideologies. During this period, secular political movements became more prominent, with the idea that religion should not dictate government and its policies. Secularism continued to spread globally in the 20th century, especially after the World War II, as the horrors of religious conflict prompted many nations to adopt secular constitution or law. The separation of church and the state became a key aspect of liberal democracies, especially in the Western world, with the United States and France being the prominent in this context. The idea of secularism was very central to the development of modern democracies, particularly in the Western countries where it became enshrined in legal and constitutional frameworks. For example, the US Constitution, through the very first amendment, ensures the separation of church and the state and guarantees freedom of religion for all the citizens. Secularism plays a very crucial role in safeguarding religious freedom and promoting equality. By keeping religion out of politics, secularism helps to ensure that individuals of minority faith are not marginalized or discriminated against by the state. It also protects individuals who choose not to follow any religion from being subjected to religious-based laws or policies. This creates more inclusive society where everyone has the freedom to practice their beliefs or lack thereof without fear of coercion or discrimination. So, in a nutshell, we can say that secularism refuses to commit itself as a whole to any supernatural views of the nature of the universe or the role of mankind in it. Secularism is not homogeneous, but it is pluralistic. Secularism is very tolerant of religious diversity. Therefore, we can say that secularism is a concept which ensures a number of positive ideas, such as it ensures respect for individual and the small groups of which they are a part. Secularism tries to ensure equality for all the people. It also emphasizes that each person should be free to realize their particular excellence. Again, secularism also helps in breaking down the barrier of caste in the society. So learners, now we have the idea regarding the meaning of secularism. After discussing the concept of secularism, we can point out some of the important features of the concept. The first one is separation of religion and the state. One of the foundational features of secularism is the separation of religion from the government. This means that religious institutions do not hold political power, and political decisions are not based on religious doctrines. Government may allow freedom of religion, but they do not endorse or establish any religion as the official state religion. Second important feature of this concept is religious freedom. Secularism basically ensures that the individual have the right to practice any religion of their choice or to not follow any religion at all, without any kind of fear of discrimination or persecution. This freedom of belief is protected and respected, allowing people to express their spirituality or secular views freely. Then, another feature is equality of all the religions. Secularism basically promotes the equality of all the religions. It asserts that no religion should have special privileges or the right over others in the public sphere. In secular state, there is no state religion or there is no religious favoritism in the law, and all the religious groups are treated equally by the state. Another important feature of secularism is that equality before the law. A key component of secularism is the equality of all the citizens before the law, regardless of their religious belief. This aspect ensures that people are treated based on their actions and character rather than their religious belief. Secularism promotes the idea that all the individuals are equal in the eyes of the law of the state, and thus no individual or religious group should have any kind of special privileges. In secular system, legal and political decisions are based on rational arguments and human rights, not on religious teaching. This equality before the law also extends to areas like education and employment, where no one should be discriminated against on the basis of their religious status. Again, another feature of the concept of secularism is non-interference of religion in governance. In a secular state, religion does not interfere in the day-to-day affairs of the government. Religious leaders and institutions are not given any political power or control over state policies. This ensures that laws and policies are made for the collective good of all the citizens, regardless of their religious belief. One very important feature of the concept of secularism is freedom of expression and thought. Secularism supports freedom of expression and the right to openly discuss or critique religious ideas. This allows for a diverse exchange of ideas and the development of a more tolerant and an open society. People are free to question religious beliefs in a very logical way, and religious groups cannot suppress or limit the freedom of thought of the individuals. Again, another very important feature of the concept of secularism is the neutrality of the state in religious matters. Secularism advocates that the state should remain neutral in the matters of religion. This means that the state doesn't take sides on religious issues, and it doesn't promote one religion over another. The government is impartial, and it ensures that no religious groups has the power to shape the state policies. Another important feature is promotion of rationality and scientific thinking. Secularism emphasizes rational thinking, science, and humanism. It encourages decisions or policies to be based on reason, scientific evidence, and human welfare rather than religious faith or tradition. This results in a more progressive society where educational institutions are guided by scientific knowledge rather than religious doctrine. One very important feature of the concept of secularism is pluralism and tolerance. Secularism fosters a pluralistic society where multiple religions, beliefs, and worldviews coexist. It emphasizes tolerance, ensuring that diverse groups can live peacefully together, regardless of their religious or non-religious identities. Secularism encourages understanding and cooperation between individuals of different faith. One very important feature of the concept of secularism is the protection of various groups from religious intolerance. Secularism offers protection against religious extremism and intolerance by ensuring that not any particular religion dominates the political system or the society. It reduces the chance of religious conflict and violence. Secularism also helps in safeguarding the minority rights from being marginalized or persecuted. This minority based on religion also have the same rights like other groups. Again, another very important feature of the concept of secularism is that this concept is closely tied to the promotion of human rights and social justice. Secular governments are more likely to adopt laws that ensure that protection of individual freedom and rights such as gender equality, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and the protection of minorities. By focusing on reason, equality, justice, secularism basically allows for the development of policies that addresses issues such as poverty, discrimination, and the rights of the marginalized groups rather than being influenced by religious principles that might reinforce traditional or discriminatory views. While discussing the features of secularism, we must admit that another important feature is that secular law. In a secular society, laws are basically based on human rights, ethics, and the well-being of the society rather than on religious text. In summary, we can say that secularism is characterized by the separation of religion from the state, religious freedom and equality of all the people, non-interference of religious institutions in governance, neutrality of the state in religious matters, the promotion of rationality and science, and the fostering of a more tolerant and pluralist society. It ensures that state laws are made in a way that benefits all the individuals regardless of their religious belief. However, secularism is not without any challenges. In many countries, religion continues to influence political decision, and the line between religious influence and state affairs can be blurry. The implementation of secularism in practice varies significantly around the world. For example, in some countries like France and Turkey, they have strict secular policies, while others have a more flexible approach allowing for religious expression in the public sphere as long as it doesn't interfere on others' rights. While discussing some challenges to secularism, we can point out the very first point, that religious fundamentalism. In some parts of the world, religious fundamentalism poses a very serious threat to secular principles, as certain groups attempt to impose their religious beliefs on others through political means. And this creates severe problem in many countries of the world. Again, another challenge to the concept of secularism is cultural and religious diversity. In societies with deep religious division, secularism can sometimes be viewed as a threat to religious identity and traditions, making it more difficult to implement. Another challenge to the concept of secularism is religious nationalism. In countries where nationalism is tied to a specific religion, secularism can face resistance from groups that see their religious identity as integral to their national identity. However, in conclusion, we can say that secularism is a fundamental principle that ensures religious freedom, equality, and fairness in modern societies. By separating religion from government, it allows for the development of policies based on rationality, equality, and justice rather than on religious doctrines. Secularism protects both religious and non-religious individuals, promoting peaceful coexistence and mutual respect in a diverse world. In fact, we can say that secularism is a global principle that can be applied in diverse cultural and political contexts. In countries around the world, there is a growing recognition that secularism provides a foundation for peace, stability, and human rights. The separation of religion from politics is seen as an important way to prevent religious conflict and promote societal harmony in a very diverse society. So, secularism is not about opposing religion, but it ensures that public life and government are based on universal principles that respect the rights of all the individuals regardless of their faith. So learners, in this video we have discussed the very important aspect of secularism. We do hope that after watching this video you have found answers to certain questions like what does secularism actually mean and what is its nature. In the next two videos we shall discuss issues of secularism in Indian context. All of us know that the Constitution of India has declared India as a secular state. Still, our country have been experiencing various issues and challenges in this regard. And in the next two videos, we will attempt to analyze some of the pertinent issues of secularism in Indian context. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.